Winning the race off of pit road, Grant Enfinger will bring the field back to the green flag.
Little two-tire strategy, not a bad move by Grant Enfinger. Try to get him some track position, see what can happen to his car in some clean air.
You know, he said he ran over 500 laps on his computer getting ready for here. I hope Billy Venturini and his crew are down there looking at these pit stops because they were killing him in the pits.
Pool running in the 5th spot. So it's Enfinger, Tim George Jr., Chris Buescher, Ty Dillon, and Brennan Poole, your top 5.
It's going to get serious.
Green flag back in the air. Grant Enfinger leading the field into turn number 1. That's the shot we have back down the front stretch.
Trying to block Tim George. It's not going to work. Tim's going to jump to the outside.
Tim George Jr. trying to take the lead away from Grant Enfinger. He'll have it as they exit turn 1.
Nice move by Tim George. Grant Enfinger did not want to give that lead up. Tim George said, if you want to block me low, I'll go high.
Yeah, well, that high line off of turn 1 over there, get the momentum, made a nice pass.
Here comes Chris Buescher in the 17, taking second away from Grant Enfinger, and the caution comes out once again. This time, fog once again bringing out the caution and slowing the field once again. That's where your spotters stand and what they see. Can't really even see into turn
No,
number 1.
It's what they don't see that's the problem.
Yeah, we can see over to the backside of the racetrack. We can see in the tunnel turn. It's just over in turn 1.
It's moving in again. You know, it's moving in from the turn 1 end of the racetrack. As you look down, you can't see turn 1 at all.
Now, because they didn't get back to the start-finish line, Grant Enfinger is still going to be scored as our race leader. Because the caution came out before he completed that pass, that lap.
31's going to be the leader. They're going
Tim George Jr. will have the lead.
They'll freeze the field when the caution flag comes out.
Okay. Into turn number 2 when they were doing it, he had the lead convincingly and
he
through
passed
the
him,
loops.
Yeah, he passed him off of turn 1 over there.
Yep, through the
down
loops.
the back.
So whatever the most recent loop was when the caution flag come out will be how they will line this field up.
And again, you see the fog rolling in from turn 1, and it just takes over this racetrack.
It just came in quick. I mean, I looked around just a few moments ago and was able to see the whole racetrack. We restarted, and it seemed like in a half a lap that it was again inundated in turn 1.
Yep, it was severe clear when we dropped the green, but didn't last long.
It's severe foggy. Out front, though, the 31 of Tim George Jr., Wendy.
And I was scanning Tim George Jr. at that exact moment. You should have heard the spotter. He was calling Tim George Jr. around the 36 at that time, and he said, "Oh, I lost you. It's fought. You're on your own." I mean, really, that's how it went. And so Tim George Jr. had to back it down. They told him, back it down, back it down. And they knew he got past Grant before that caution came out. But Tim George Jr. said he loves his race car. He loves it so much. And it says it takes about 5 laps before it gets to him, though. So he wants to get back some green flag racing in order to keep that top spot because he feels like he's better on a longer run.
Tim George Jr. was able to grab the lead going into turn number 1 on that restart. Again, Enfinger had a 2-tire stop, came off pit road as your race leader.
I think it was a good move by Grant Enfinger. We haven't seen him run up in the top 5. Let's see if we can take a look at this restart. Now, here's the restart. You see Grant, all the lead lap cars on the outside. Tim George right now behind him. That's Grant in the blue car. Tim goes to the inside. Grant said, "I'm going to block the inside." And then Tim goes to the outside. Said, I'm going to find me a way around you."
Yeah, we've seen through the years here at Pocono. Neil Bonnet did it way back when we used to come up here a long time ago in the Cup races. Neil Bonnet started that serpentine thing down the front straightaway, trying to break that draft. That was just basically a block right there, trying to stop a pass.
And if that block would have worked, the caution came out shortly thereafter, and he would have held on to the lead.
After that pass was made, the caution came out because of visibility, and you can already see how the fog was rolling in. When the cameras are obviously closer to the cars, they can drive around and see the track without a problem. It's the spotters not being able to see the racetrack.
That's the worst I've seen.
Yeah, I think right now, and again, 2 minutes ago, we said we could still see the backside of the racetrack. Now you can't see it at all.
Under caution once again in Pocono. Download the free Speed app for your phone. Keep speed at your fingertips and fuel your passion for racing between events with Speed on your phone. Get the latest stats, results, and news as soon as they become available. Download the app from iTunes or the Android market now. Fog still here in the Long Pond, Pennsylvania area. Out in front of this field a couple times, and a very dominant car has been the 25 of Brennan Poole, but he's had problems on pit road. Both times he came to pit road.
Yeah, this is the first time he came down. Watch the tire carrier after making an adjustment. He's going to trip over the tire. That's going to cost him several positions. He ends up coming out in 5th. Here's the second stop.
Yeah, this time a pretty decent pit stop. Not all that bad. A little trouble on the left front. But then Poole stalls the engine. He loses a couple of spots right there. So trouble in the pits on both stops.
He lost the lead on pit road, and the guy who was able to grab the lead on the most recent restart was Tim George Jr., and I believe Wendy's with him.
I am, and he is just sitting here, and we were just chatting. Tim, your race car looks really strong, but you probably wouldn't be too concerned if they called this right about now for fog.
Yeah, we'd be pretty happy with that. I'd like to finish it out too, though, and race, to my first win here in the ARCA series. We got a really fast RCR Chevrolet, and maybe it helps that I played golf with the boss yesterday. Beat him, actually. He was complaining that his hand hurt a little bit still, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
Oh, goodness. And there we go. It starts again. Tim George Jr. in that top spot. The first car off pit road with the 4 tires. Jim?
Wendy, the only guy that took 2 to take the lead was Grant Enfinger. And Grant, I got to ask you, what was the reason for the 2-tire change, and how much you got left for him?
Crew Chief Kelly Kovsky made the call. I feel like it was a good one. We seem to be really good on the long runs. We just need 4 or 5 green laps to kind of get everything situated. We're not really dropping off like everybody else.
How about this race car? You think you can hang with the 4-tire guys?
Like I said, after a few laps, we definitely can. We just got to get, salvage everything we can for these first few laps, then I know we can run with them.
That's the thoughts of Grant Enfinger.
And Grant Enfinger in the 3rd spot. It's Tim George Jr. is out front. Chris Buescher runs 2nd. Enfinger is 3rd. Ty Dillon and Brennan Poole, your top 5. We're stopped for fog once again. Coverage of the ARCA Racing Series on Speed is brought to you by Messina Wildlife Management. Stop animal damage with Messina Wildlife Management. And by Aaron's. You don't need credit. All you need is Aaron's. Still under a red flag condition because of fog. You can barely see the spotters up on the grandstand from pit road, and that is the reason why we have brought the cars onto pit road. And the ARCA Racing Series officials have just called this race. With 21 laps to go, it's official. Tim George Jr. will get his first career win in the ARCA Racing Series.
What a great move on the restart to get by Grant Enfinger. And just after he made the pass, the caution flag comes out for fog.
He wants to know, can I get out?
I just stay in there. You've been in there for an hour now.
How about that? Well, what an unbelievable day. It started with precipitation. We didn't know if we were actually going to get the green flag. They were able to run quite a few laps early on. A caution came out. We ran quite a few caution laps, and then the fog stopped us.
I think some good pit work, some pretty good strategy. Had a fast race car. He showed that. He showed he had a car capable of winning.
A milestone start for Tim George Jr. This is his 50th start in the ARCA Racing Series, and he gets his first win, and look who comes over to congratulate him.
We need to play golf more.
We need to play golf more, he says to Richard Childress. Let's go down to Wendy.
Tim George Jr., you're not in victory lane, but you are the winner today, friend. What are you feeling right now as your team was just congratulating you, RC walking up to you?
Well, you know what? Sometimes you got to have luck, and sometimes you got to have speed, and today we definitely had both. So put yourself in position to do well. Sometimes you do, and we've had speed every week, and really glad to bring this RCR Chevrolet to victory lane here.
What was going through your head while you sat here all this time watching the fog roll in over your car?
Well, you showed me your watch, and that was a long 15 minutes. That 15 minutes felt longer than the darn race, but we had a really fast car, and wasn't the fastest in qualifying speed, but we were really good in race trim, so I knew I had a shot at doing well if I could just manage lap traffic well, and we did that, so it was really good. We made the pass on the 36 there, and the caution came out right after, and we knew we were good to go.
And that pass on the 36 with Grant, man, it was close for that caution coming out. What was going through your head when you were making that pass?
Well, I just knew that, rain and fog are in the area, and I knew that I had to get this Chevy up front, and I knew there was a chance that it could be called early, so I just knew that position was key here, and the guys did an awesome job on pit lane. I mean, seriously, awesome job, guys. Congratulations.
All right, and you're smiling, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Tim George Jr. celebrating here on pit road, not in victory lane, but nonetheless, his whole entire crew is here, including Richard Childress, his owner, and of course Ty Dillon, his teammate, coming down here as well. Jim Trado.
And all car owner and crew chief Billy Venturini could do is come over and give a big hug to this driver, Brennan Poole. You certainly made it exciting from the pole. What will you take away from this event, finishing 5th in a race that really was what could have been?
Yeah, and unfortunately the weather just wasn't playing to our hand today, but we had a really awesome car. I have to thank Billy Venturini. Just thank all the guys at the shop for working so hard in this car. Lacey Green for supporting us this weekend. Her CDs just came out here for the summertime. Check it out. She's a great country singer. Just was really awesome to have her on our car this weekend. And I just want to thank Scott Dobrin. Go to scottdobrin.com. Check him out. He's the biggest realtor in this area here in Pennsylvania. Just happy for that we were able to get a top 5. We had an awesome car today. Man, really would have liked to got to run the last 20 laps. Our car was really good in traffic. We came from like 4th earlier in the race and back to the front, so just would have liked to see how it went, but sometimes things don't go your way, and unfortunately the weather here today pretty nasty. We couldn't see hardly anything. I was messing with Billy on the radio. I was telling him, man, does it look like it's snowing to you? But we were having a fun time, and that's what it's about. It's about having fun, so just appreciate all the guys and all the help in the sport.
The thoughts of 5th place finisher Brennan Poole. Wendy?
Chris Buescher comes home second. Of course, not the finish the way you wanted to end the race, but man, your car was fast today.
Yeah, we were really good. I guess it's kind of a welcoming to Pocono, huh? Just it's unfortunate, wish we could have tried to at least race for it, but that's the way it goes sometimes, and they did what they had to do. So it was car was definitely fast. I mean, Rule Brothers did a great job. It's first time for us running this car. It's an old Roush Fenway car that we got a year or so ago, and it seems to run really good. Just we needed a chance there.
All right, and Chris Buescher, his 5th top 5 in 2011.
Thanks, Wendy. The fog is so thick we can't see Wendy right now on pit road, and we're in the press box, so it's pretty amazing how the fog has rolled in. After this, the 7th race of the season, we take a look at our point standings. Ty Dillon has a 155-point lead over 9-time series champion Frank Kimmel.
That's comfortable, 155 points.
Chris Buescher gains a little bit of ground with that 2nd place finish. He's now 4th, 225 points behind. Tim George Jr., by virtue of that win, now 8th, 410 points in arrears.
Mariette Defoe finishing 12th in this race, holding on to the 10th spot in the point standings.
That's pretty impressive. She's in the top 10.
So at the start of this race, it was Brennan Poole looked like was going to be the dominant car and run away with it. But pit road really was his nemesis today.
Yeah, it just wasn't meant to be. Had trouble in the pits, and then the weather got him. But he had the fastest car, but it just wasn't meant to be.
He was able to overcome a first 4 pit stop, but wasn't quite able to overcome the second. Didn't have enough time, but a great move by Tim George to get by Grant Enfinger when he did. Great call by Grant Enfinger's crew to do 2 tires on that last pit stop to get him to track position, ends up with a 3rd place finish.
And no repeat winner since 2003. That's amazing.
The streak continues with new winners in Pocono. It was Tim George Jr. making his 50th start in the ARCA Racing Series, and he goes to victory lane. Amazingly enough, he only led 1 lap under green flag conditions, but he gets the win at Pocono.